What is up, y'all? We're here for our weekly manifestation oracle message. Hope y'all are doing well. I am itchy. I have like poison ivy or poison oak or something. It's driving me insane. And let's see. I trained someone tonight at work, so I've had to talk a lot. I'm insane. Oh, we're just going to take a look at the week ahead to see how we should focus our intention and our energy where our manifestations are concerned. And keep in mind, we are in this waning energy after the full moon. So this is a great time for letting go, releasing, breaking habits, moving on from the past, anything you want to shed or cleanse. Like this is always a good time to declutter, deep clean, take care of things, getting things, ticked off your list. If you have things piled up around the house that you need to do, this is a good time to take care of the things that you've already got on your plate rather than taking on new things and letting them pile up on top of other things. The new moon is for planting seeds, for, putting effort in and setting those intentions and then taking those first initial actions. And I think that finishing the month strong, puts us further ahead than trying to skip ahead before we've completed what we set out to do in the first place. Kabbalah calls this leaving empty vessels. So I don't know if you guys are anything like me. I have a tendency to get super excited about a lot of things, and then I'll have a bunch of little to-dos piling up and a bunch of different projects that I'm working on, and discipline and restriction around my structure have been challenging for me. So many times as a cardinal sign, and I'm not just my sun, moon, and rising are all cardinal signs. I am all cardinal energy. And the cardinal signs are the kind of energy. Cardinal energy is like starter energy. It's catalytic. It's the first spark of energy in something. But it's not necessarily that sustained ongoing energy or mutable energy. So I sometimes leave things, I start things but don't necessarily find full completion with them always. And I think that has added to the lack of success with certain other things that I was doing at the same time. Maybe things that I did finish but didn't finish and get the results that I wanted. And so basically Kabbalah teaches that if you have a bunch of intentions that you either didn't complete or didn't follow through with, and you've made these declarations and you've started these things and these projects, and they're just out there like empty vases, then they gather chaos and they start to gather this negative energy, and it creates a feeling of pressure and negativity and friction within us. And so it's better to follow through on the things that you set out to do rather than take on more. So that's what I am going to try to make myself start doing instead. All right, how about you guys? So our first card out is Divine Magic. Extra magical energy surrounds your situation right now. Expect miracles. So we had this come out during our full moon workshop. And so I feel like in this, I think that we have extra, manifesting power right now. I feel it, I feel all this light that really did store up over the 3 challenging weeks and through the spring, when we gave so much effort into Passover and then the Omer, right? The counting of the Omer. It really, it's an ongoing work in progress as always, but I do feel like we put a lot of genuine effort in, and I think that even if just in small ways, the transformation has been effective, and we are coming through this metamorphosis, and real change is starting to happen, even if it's just our capacity to make small changes and continue to follow through with them, right? Like staying on a good, regimen if you've been wanting to eat better and get more movement in your days, right? And you stick on a good habit. It's hard to do that. It's hard to stick with something, a good change. If you are, a person who is working with sobriety right now, like maybe that's something that you're needing to do permanently, or maybe it's something that you're doing for a period of time. But that's, a commitment that you make to yourself that it takes a lot of effort to maintain that, right? So I think that we've put our earnestness into wanting to be better and wanting to do better. And I think because of that, like there is this miraculous energy around us. It's like it's like investing spiritual money into a bank account, right? And I just feel that we're moving through this portal, this threshold into this next chapter. And I just feel things drawing nearer. I feel things closer and closer. There was a period of time where it felt like we were in a wilderness, where it was like, it did feel like we were so far from anything, but now it feels to me like I sense something pushing against the edge of reality, and I'm excited. It's exciting to see what's going to come through for everybody. Ooh, and so I think what's going to help us is worthiness. Now, because we have shown ourselves love by showing up for ourselves, by putting the effort into our healing and to our awakening and self-realization and self-discovery, that tells us, that sends a message to our subconscious that we are worthy and valuable. Even if nobody else has ever taken an interest in our, so I've got like soot, I'm just like seeing it. I've got soot on my hand and I've got like a burn and poison ivy. Like, I'm a hearty gal, guys. I get knocked around by myself. Not by someone else. Like klutzy, I'm in the woods, I'm gardener. Okay, so worthiness, back to worthiness. So by following through on the actions that we invest in ourselves, even if nobody else has ever set that example for us, like say we felt neglected growing up, or maybe like, through our life so far, our romantic partners have not been as loving as we would have hoped, right? And that had to do with the fact that it was reflecting our self-worth. But then it also like has this compounding effect of damaging the self-worth even deeper, because it's like we're taking in these subliminal messages like we're not worth the effort. But what happens is when we start putting in the effort to ourselves, then that starts putting out a different vibration from us. We start having a different frequency. When I am consistent with myself and I keep promises to myself, that tells me I am trustworthy to myself. In the past, I have been a magnet for men who are wishy-washy. They don't follow through with their word. They empty promises, like narcissists, right? People who, are not honoring me the way I should be honored, or they're not following through, or they're not consistent, or they're not showing up, or they're not showing a deep enough interest in the things that are meaningful to me, and they're not showing up for those things. Well, I, have thought for years and asked for years and done so much digging and so much work and so many workshops and read so many books. Where is this pattern coming from? Why do I attract these people? What is it about them that keeps coming back? Why do I keep repeating this pattern? Because I've hit it from so many different ways. And like at a certain point, I was just like, it's such a loss. And recently I had this profound epiphany. And it was recently when I've been, trying to get up earlier and get more of my creative goals in and take better care of myself in that way and have a better sleep cycle. And I love a little, like, at late night, like after dinner, like you're cozy, you're watching your show or your movie, and you do a little short nappy nap on the couch. It's not a full sleep, but you're so comfortable. Well, that's actually taking away from my quality sleep because I work late, so my whole night is shifted to later. So I kept thinking, oh, I need to change this habit. I need to change this habit. And so when I was kind of wrestling with myself one night, knowing that I should get up and go to bed, and I was still in the comfort zone, literally my comfort zone, holding me back, I realized my inner voice, my spirit told me, it said, the narcissists are treating you the same way you're treating yourself. And they're a mirror of how you're treating yourself, and you don't realize it. But you're setting the vibrational example by the way that you're treating yourself. And I was like, I'm so right. Like, that's so true, because I keep telling myself, yeah, I'm going to get up and go to bed. I'm not going to couch nap tonight. I'm going to make a change, and I'm going to be better, and I'm going to do things healthier. Well, I'm thinking, okay, what if that was a partner? The partner that I've heard tell me that so many times. And it was like a vicious cycle. And I'm like, whoa, that is so true. I'm sitting here treating myself like crap because I'm acting like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here. I'm like lying. I'm telling myself this BS about how I have the strongest intention of getting up and going to bed early. It's like, at least just be honest with myself. At least stop lying to me, first of all. Second, I realize I need to be more I need to be as honorable with my word to myself as I would be to someone else, right? I'm like thinking to myself, whoa, I treat everyone else better than me when I thought about it that way. And so I was like, I need to be consistent with my promises to myself. I need to be consistent with my goals. I need to be consistent with, things that are good for me and that nurture my life, right? And for a lot of it, I am, right? But there are key factors that are little things left that I feel like are my biggest blocks. And I feel like if I can overcome those hurdles, then those things will, the blocks will resolve, right? I believe that. And so as we start showing up for ourselves, we start feeling more worthy. We start feeling a sense of deep self-love and self-respect. I've noticed subtle shifts in myself even since I've started to make more of an effort like that and remind myself, oh, you're being a bad boyfriend to yourself right now. You're lying. You're giving yourself empty promises. You're saying you're going to do something and then you turn around and not do it. And so I realized I need to be impeccable with myself the way that I hope someone else would come into my life and be with me. That standard that I would set for another person and the way that they treat me, I need to treat myself like that, because if I do not recognize that and treat myself that way, then I will continue to put out the same frequency and attract in the same lovers who will show me a mirror of where I need to grow and where I need to change. And it is going to reflect back to me a message from the universe. And it doesn't mean that what they're doing is right. And it doesn't justify their behavior, right? If this person is treating you poorly, it's not justifying their behavior. You don't deserve it. That's not the case. It's just that the laws of the universe, it's like gravity. You can't argue with gravity. You can't take gravity personally, right? This is just how it works, right? But they are there to serve you. Like when we say pause, why is this in my movie? There's a message there from the universe. What is that? And it's not to say that whatever the person's doing is justifiable or excusable. It's not. It's just that there's a hidden message within the things that are happening in our life. Nothing is by accident. Nothing is random. There's something in behind it. It's how we find the right angle to interpret what is happening and what message we're taking away from that. And so that, to me, has made a profound shift in the understanding of why I'm attracting these people. It was like, oh, that's why. That is why I'm attracting these people, because I'm not being consistent, right? So the more consistent that I am for myself and for my routines and for my dreams, then the more meaningful it is to me, and the more I respect myself for the things that I've accomplished and the effort that I've made, right? And so then you are like, wait a second, I appreciate the effort that I've put in and all that it's taken for me to get here. And I'm not just going to throw my stability and security out the window for whoever comes in and out, right? You start to feel more protective of yourself and protective of what you've built, and not to the point hopefully where you're going to be shutting people out and putting up too strong of boundaries, but your worth changes, and then it's easier for you to say no. So know that you deserve to receive good in all ways. Also, as I feel worthier, I feel more at ease about being able to receive. That has also been a challenge for me in my life, feeling safe to receive. And so I think that can be tied into many things, but worthiness is one of the core reasons why you might be blocked in receiving. Music for manifesting. I love it. I agree. So to manifest rapidly, think of your desire while you chant, hum, sing, or play music. So music is such a great manifesting tool because it entices your emotions and it gets you into a feeling state. And it also triggers you into that trance-like imagination where you can visualize to the point of even being able to feel the reality coming into being. And so it's like if you're wanting to get pumped and motivated, then what I like to do is, like, when I jog, I have different playlists that are different moods. And when I walk, I listen to other playlists that are other moods. And depending on where my mindset is, where I'm brainstorming, where I'm taking my imagination and for what use, I might want to use different music. And so when I want to get motivated and I want to get motivated to make money, like sometimes I listen to rap music, right? Makes me want to be opulent. Sometimes it's disco. If I need to get like into a sprightly spirit, I'm definitely going to be listening to disco. It gets me, in a bubbly mood, right? So if you're wanting to, say, manifest your soulmate or call in romance, then like listening to love songs helps. And if you have an aversion to love songs, then maybe there's some unpacking to do there. I know for myself personally, sometimes when I am not in a relationship, or I am angry about a relationship, or I feel skeptical about love, I am put off by love songs. And then when I'm in love, I love love songs. And sometimes when I'm not in a relationship, I still love love songs. So your reaction to the music itself might show you something that's hiding out of your awareness. And you know what? The more worthy I grow and the more I think awakened I am around relationships and the feeling of being whole, that sometimes, honestly, a lot of the love songs I hear, I'm like starting to listen to the lyrics. I'm like, oh my God, this is so codependent, or this is like really unhealthy, or like this is limerent, like this is a person who's psychotically obsessing over someone who's not interested. Why they keep going back to this abuser? I just get too outside of myself, and then I can't lose myself in the enjoyment of the song sometimes. Oh my God, God help us. Okay, so what do we have here? Pay attention. Notice repetitious signs and your inner guidance, as this can yield valuable information. Now, if you guys are anything like me, you might have a lot of voices going on inside, all right? You've got your ego that sounds every different which way it can. It puts on the mask of any voice that will be compelling enough to convince you to go with the ego's plan, right? And then you have the inner child, and whatever fit. My inner child has been laying down in the grocery store throwing a fit all day. can tell you that, right? Or is it your intuition? And so the intuition is not like a scary, pushy, buy now while supplies last kind of voice. It's not urgent. It's not, I mean, it can be compelling, right? And then maybe in some cases, in the case of an emergency, right, it might feel urgent. But most of the time, the intuition is a quiet, subtle nudge in a direction. It's calm. It's solution oriented. It doesn't beat you up. It doesn't shame you. It's not a worry, an anxiety kind of voice. This is a voice of calm direction, helpfulness, and it's not desperate or wanting or needy or judgmental or critical. It might give you critical feedback, but it's going to be in a because of it's a loving way. It's going to want the best for you. And so it sometimes might whisper things that are hard to accept or hard to hear, but it's always going to be coming from a place of love and lifting you out of some level into your highest good. But we really have to probe that voice and ask ourselves and question, is what I'm getting my ego, or is this the voice of my intuition? Is this my wishful thinking and it's convenient to call it my intuition because this is what I want to hear? Am I calling this my intuition because it backs up like what my agenda wants or my viewpoint says? You have to be really honest with yourself, and you're only cheating yourself if you ignore, your instinct on if it's the voice of the ego or the intuition. So notice repetitious signs and your inner guidance, as this can yield valuable information. Pay attention to your nightly dreams and pay attention to synchronicities. Although I will say sometimes and many times I will follow the synchronicities. And I will pay attention to the synchronicities. And the synchronicities take me right into like a booby trap or like a haha, fooled you, prank kind of thing. And I'm like, why was this all this elaborate like synchronicities with like omens? Like, was this necessary? Like, is this just like, is there a hidden camera? Is God laughing at me? Like, what's going on? So I think that the opponent knows how to mess with us too. And the opponent has a little henchman, throwing wrenches in our way as well. And so I think that even with the synchronicities, I don't think we can take them blindly. I think we have to, evaluate, what kind of feeling am I getting from this? And then also maybe the synchronicities are taking you to a situation. But sometimes we just assume that because the synchronicities are taking me to the situation that this is in my destiny and it's going to work out. But sometimes you're being taken to situations that are complicated, or not complicated, but they're not like it might be a test or a challenge, that it's not going to be necessarily like the most pleasant thing. Like the synchronicities aren't guaranteed to lead you to like a cherry pie. Let's just put it that way. You might feel like the synchronicities are like leading you into like a relationship with a person that ends up being kind of a hairy go of it. And you're like, well, what was that all about? But there's some reason, there's something in your souls that needed to be activated, or that person made you aware of something about yourself, or you helped them become more aware about themselves. Like, you might have had stuff in past lives, this might have been something but either way, there's always some rhyme or reason for things, or things can be turned around and used for a purpose, right? In cases where we have things that seem seemingly like, wow, there's no rhyme or reason for this. This was unjust. This was terrible. This was a tragedy. This is inexplicable. Like, how did this happen? In those situations, it's the what we have to do is proactively try to find a way to bring purpose from that. And that's our grace. That's our redemption, is getting on the other side of the grief and the wrestling with, finding your way through acceptance and anger and denial and all of those stages of grief, right? And processing things. But on the other side of it, you can find such deeper levels of yourself through those things that you tap into things that you never dreamed you were made of. And so on the other side of some of life's most mysterious tribulations, we were really melded through that, and it awakens in us an understanding and a compassion and a wisdom and an edge that we wouldn't have had otherwise. So let's grab a couple of cards from the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms just to cap us off. Dragon's Duel. Okay, here's what we're talking about, people. The perception that we choose. Which dragon are we going to feed? We can feed the dragon of our perception that says, wow, life has chewed me up and spit me out. This isn't fair. I'm a victim, or it's too hard. I don't have the resources. I don't have the time. You can look at the lack, you can look at the fear, and those things can be truly, they can appear to be very real, right? Or you can feed the dragon of hopefulness, of, believing in miracles. You can look at you feed the dragon of appreciation, of optimism, of determination, of perseverance. Right? Look at the dragon of choosing acceptance to bring you to peace, right? Choose the dragon that is going to open your soul up to more light and more fulfillment, right? So inner conflict, morality, conscious choice. So this week, if we are wrestling with inner conflict, then do what aligns with your inner, we need to nourish our inner morality and our ethics and our values more so than ever. We see the effects of people's basic morals being worn down, and how incredibly destructive that is. We think it's, it's not hurting anyone, or it's just this and that. Nobody sees, Look at our country right now. In Washington, D.C., they are rounding up homeless people off the street and immediately just placing them under arrest to either send them to jails, detention centers, or mental asylums. And I mean, they've got, I saw a man in a wheelchair who was a paraplegic with handcuffs on and what looked like a bag over his head. And this is people who have voted for a system that would enact cruelty this way. And then they just think, it's legal, so it's fine. It's just because something is legal doesn't mean that it's right. And just because something is illegal doesn't mean that it's wrong, because Jesus was crucified as a criminal. And he was certainly right. And he was not wrong. And there are criminals who do horrible things, who are detestable, who get away with it through legal loopholes. For instance, they're moving to lower the age of consent to 14 so that 14-year-olds will be considered adults for two reasons. One, they don't want men to be tried for pedophilia. And so they're trying to lower the legal age of consent. A lot of the prostitutes on Jeffrey Epstein's island were probably around the age of 14. So they're trying to make sure to change the law so that the men who are exposed for raping 14-year-olds aren't tried as pedophilia and sex offenders. All these terms that I'm using are probably shadow banning me. And then, so it's basically to cushion men who want to be perverts and groom young, impressionable girls or force them into marrying older men and being pregnant and not being allowed to get educated and being able to vote. Because they're still not considered adults who can vote at 14 legally. This is how it's going to play out. This is how they want it. And their husband, because obviously this is just men that are going to be doing this, their husband is going to vote for the household. And so this girl will be basically a robot, brainwashed prisoner for the rest of her life until something inside of her snaps and she awakens, or she just withers inside. So this is basically exactly like the Taliban, and this is what the same right-winged men have told me all my life about why I don't need to ever get involved with a Middle Eastern man because of the way they treat their women. It's like you're the one, you're projecting this. Any extremism ends up like this. So, it's all about when this is where extremism leads. The other reason that they want to lower the age of consent to 14 and treat 14-year-olds like adults is that they say that teen crime is on the rise. And it's going to be more true. And it couldn't be more untrue. Because if anybody out there knows any Gen Zers, they are lame as fuck. They don't know how to party. They don't do anything crazy. They're just chill and they're just hanging out and they're just nice, good kids. Like, they're good children. Like, I know lots of them. They're not prone to even wanting to be criminals or doing crime. Like, they don't have that kind of get up and go that us millennials had. Like, we're still unhinged. I'm still one of the most dangerous people I know. Okay, so this is not true. In fact, recent statistics have shown that the prison populations are declining at such a rapid rate that in the next decade or so, there's not going to be anybody in the jails to keep them open. And remember that prisons are privatized and for profit in this country. And so, oh my God, I'm projecting and I'm looking at my charts and I'm seeing that I'm running out of my product, which are human beings that I am using as slaves in the judicial system. People just aren't committing the crimes anymore. People have access to mental health. So even the people who are committing crimes under like mental duress, those aren't happening as much. So now they have to think of reasons to send people to jail. And they have to prey on people who are more vulnerable. And because these kids are good and they're not committing crimes, you know what they're turning into a crime? Missing school a certain amount of days. They're sending people to jail over over being absent too many days in school, even if they have a doctor's note. So they're just like, okay, any way we can trap these children and enslave them and throw them into the system, we're going to do it any way we can. And then while we're at it, why don't we make detention centers privatized and for profit? And then we can, enslave immigrants and anybody we want to make an excuse up to throw in there, we just will. And they're going to be in there for who knows how long, as long as it takes, right? And they just leave them in there and they make money off of these people like they're hostages, essentially. Yeah. So the 14-year-old thing is basically to exploit boys by sending them to jail and exploit girls by sending them into child marriages, like to be child marriages to adults. And it's sick. And then meanwhile, I believe it was a Utah politician used his power to change the law to protect his nephew. His nephew is an 18-year-old who is an adult, actually, who is already an adult. And he raped a girl. And so in order to get him out of trouble, they just went ahead and changed the law that it's like if you're 18 but you're still in high school, you don't get tried as an adult. Also, everyone that's going to be 14 now is going to be considered an adult, but not to vote or to drink or anything like that, just to be molested and to go to jail. That's all. We just wanted to make money off of them and then fuck them over every way we could, basically. So I can't remember how I got on that tangent. Oh, the morality, right. And so you can't go by what's legal or what's even becoming normalized. And we can't let this become normalized. We have to protect our moral fiber and our ability and our consciousness and our ability to recognize what is right and what is wrong, what is outrageous, what is wicked, what is evil, right? And what are the lies and the manipulations being spun to keep everybody looking in the direction that they want us looking in and thinking of it. Oh, I mean, you see like RFK, I want to punch him in the face when he uses that stupid talking soft voice when they're like, it's just better for them this way. It's the most manipulative thing I've ever witnessed. There was that one video of that one politician man trying to tell everybody, women, if you could just step aside and let the men have it was like basically like, can you just leave the workforce so the men they feel good about themselves again and you're not in the way getting the leadership positions or the raises. Just step aside, stop voting, just give up, just be slaves. Get out of here. Morality. Conscious choice. We will not be feeding the dragons of perversion. We will not be feeding the dragons of greed. We will not be feeding the dragons of prejudice and hate and violence. We are the winged wise ones. We have angelic help on our side. I think what it is that no weapon formed against us will prosper. And all those wicked ones who rise up against us will fall. And we will not fear what the devil brings us because we are servants of God. Angelic help and miraculous aid. So put your heart and your efforts. Put your heart into your efforts as you are taking divinely inspired action. Be intentional with your consciousness when you sit down to a work session, or if you decide to make a call or send a resume or work on your profile. Get your mind in the right place. Put on some music that makes you feel like you're already living your dream and you're already in the state of fulfillment and you're already comfortable within it. Pay attention to the little trail markers and signs that are leading you in a direction. And you know what? As you follow them, just take it step by step. Just be mindful as if you were walking on ice, right? Over an icy pond. Take your steps gingerly, and be flexible, right? If you're seeing, oh, okay, I saw the synchronicity, I followed it, this is not going in the direction I thought, maybe just question your perception on the relevance of the synchronicity. Maybe it did bring you in this direction, but what was meant to come of this? What were you meant to take away from it? Or how were you meant to participate or not in this situation, right? Probe yourself, maybe, question the angle that you're understanding the synchronicity through. Okay, music, and then remember to take actions that feed your worthiness, to feed your feelings of worthiness. When you make an effort and you show up for yourself, that's when you start demonstrating to yourself that you're worthy. Don't wait for someone else to tell you that. Don't wait for someone else to treat you as if it's not up to someone else to put that worthiness in you by their actions. You have to do it for yourself. And then when you feel worthy and you treat yourself in those ways, then other people will subconsciously catch on to that vibration and then they will act the same. All right, you all, that is all for tonight. We will be back together tomorrow for our midweek alchemy message. Until then, peace be with you. Ciao.